I've never met you, so just so you know who I am, I work in Portland. I'm the general manager. I started 8 years ago on the door and just like somehow fell my way up. So all we're gonna do is basically talk about comedy clubs and how that is.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, for sure. And you, real quick, what Helium? So you've been to the Philly Helium, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's one of my favorite clubs. I love that club.
And you've done. Have you done Buffalo?
I did a couple times. Yeah. I think I just did it last year. Yeah.
Word. And then let's see, I'm just trying to figure out all the ones you've been to because I'm gonna have you rank them, not like one through whatever, but like we'll see how you like them.
Okay.
Have you been to the Indianapolis one?
No, I think I've only been to Helium in Buffalo, but I'm supposed to be at the St. Louis one, I think, next month.
Okay. I mean, no, they're still
Yeah.
open. They're just not selling food or drinks right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how, with COVID, I guess. But yeah, so far I just had COVID. So I have the antibodies now. So I'm
Oh,
fresh.
word.
So I'm fresh from being soaked with COVID, but now I've cleared my COVID and
How was
things
it
are.
for you? Like everyone I know that has it or had it, nothing happened. Like they were sick, but nothing crazy.
It so depends on the person in the case. It's like such a wide, weird range. But for me, I wasn't super symptomatic and I just had like a vague cold and just felt kind of, heinous for a week and a half or so. But it wasn't anything extreme for me. But then it just depends. Like, yeah, some people are pretty jacked up, but jacked up is a medical term, by the way.
Right.
I've
Looking at your chart here, it looks like you were jacked up in 2017. How you recovered?
I've washed my hair, so now I'm using a lot of fancy medical terms. I'm jacked up. I'm soaked with COVID, or was soaked with COVID. Now I'm not, thank God. But I was more worried about spraying my COVID onto other people. I got it from my mother-in-law. I was sure because my husband's a firefighter that I was like, oh, I might get it from him. But no, I ended up getting it from my mother-in-law. And she sprayed us with COVID.
See, I
We
think
can move on. I don't know why I'm still saying
no,
these things.
I love this. This is like to me, my biggest fear of it is almost like so I wasn't around when AIDS was hot in like 81, 82, but where they're
Hot way to
like
put it.
I mean where they're like, you can get it off the doorknob.
When AIDS was really on trend.
But I'm
AIDS was
nervous
bumping
that,
for a while. Yeah.
I'm so nervous that I don't know where it's gonna come from or where I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna get it.
I mean, you might, but some people, or you might get the vaccine first. I know people are afraid of the vaccine. Personally, I'll slam it in my dumb face. I don't care.
Uh,
I don't
so,
care, whatever it is. And, and people, you could play this tape if I'm suddenly mangled and
right.
I'd made the right decision. That was my impersonation of being mangled. I just put my own pillow. It's
At
very
least
strange.
the hair will still be on point if you're mangled.
Probably not. It'll probably be real greasy.
Oh, by the way, I saw you in the Colin Quinn joint. You crushed it. That was amazing.
Oh, thanks for saying that. It was a weird thing because we didn't really get a lot of time to like rehearse our stuff, but I try to remember, well, that's what the vibe of it was. And,
Was that your
so.
first outside show? Did you get to warm up outside at all, or were you just here we go?
I got to, a little bit, like a couple weeks of stuff before that, but it was weird because we're playing in like fire escapes and stuff.
Yeah, we had an outside show here. I hated it. I mean, because we had someone like across the street grilling something down, and like people bringing their own chairs. It was a show, but it just felt wrong.
Yeah, I had somebody's backyard, and I got there, and the woman was like, the outside. They were like, "Listen, be careful. There's this lady with blue hair screaming about the patriarchy, and she's really drunk." And I'm like, "Can you just kick her out?" And they were like, "No, it's her house." And I was okay. Fair enough. And then I went into her backyard and she did in fact scream at me and my friend Sam about the patriarchy. And then we left.
Yeah, we had someone making jokes about homeless.
Some drunk twat scream at me about the patriarchy. Can I say twat on this?
You can say whatever you want. I
Okay.
haven't heard twat in a long time. I wish I heard it more. Wait, why was she screaming at you about it?
She was actually screaming kind of like, she was like, "You're not the patriarchy." She's like, "Don't worry, you're not the patriarchy," which I appreciated. even though it made no sense. But it was still, I mean, I would have appreciated if she said it when I wasn't on stage. And again, by on stage, I mean like standing between two ferns in her yard.
Wait, so she was like, you can use my yard, but I'm gonna get a platform to talk to people. How did that work out?
She just got trashed in her own yard. Like she told somebody they could run a show there, and these sweet like comics that were starting out in the neighborhood or something just like set up this whole thing. And then she got, you know, a little tanked, and she started to feel angry about the patriarchy, and she was just screaming like aimless patriarch. I mean, she wasn't coming from, yeah, there was no plan. She was just like, you're not bad, you're not the patriarch, it's okay. And she would say that a lot in the middle of a joke, remind me that I'm not the patriarchy. But it was a little derailing for me to get back on track between the two trees that I was standing in between in her yard.
The sad thing is that should be like so foreign to me, but I've seen that in a comedy club so many times that that's like, oh, you're just doing how you normally do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we had a lady yell here. My man Jake was saying something about, so he's a Jew, and he was saying something about something Jewish stuff, and she was like, Nazis didn't exist, and everyone stopped like what? And he ended up talking to her, and her boyfriend was Jewish, and it was the weirdest thing. But that's just an inside normal open mic show.
Yeah, that's a lot though.
It was hilarious. But I mean, the fact that outside and inside can still share that, I don't know, unpredictable heckler is, to me, fascinating.
It's almost, I mean, it's definitely worse outside because you're contending with other weird things like wind. You can get heckled by wind. Wind is not funny. Just trying to deal with wind and have a natural transition. And it's not okay. Yeah, wind or rain. You could be heckled by a thunderstorm. I guess it's not a storm, but I don't know. It's not, yeah, it's not, I mean, nothing's okay.
Well, we had people with like their hoods up and stuff and, bundled up and trying to
Yeah.
laugh. It was rough.
Yeah, it's not all right. How are you through all this stuff?
I'm doing all right. I mean, so we were open at the end of June, but we were like maxed out at 100 people, and we're about the same as Philly as far as size wise. So we didn't have, I don't know, we had enough space. We never had anyone on staff or anybody catch COVID. Like I was really worried because I don't want to say I disagree with being open, but I like having something to do and like a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very concerned with nobody catching it. So I was kind of mean. And then when I heard that Tom Cruise shit, I was like, ooh, I'm his new favorite person. Because to me, that's how I almost carried myself. Like, ain't no joking around. Keep your mask up. We're sanitizing everything down. Don't fuck around. And then we closed again, end of November or beginning of November was our last show.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So now we're selling sliders and I hate it.
Yeah, me too. I like sliders though.
No, the sliders are great, but I'm so over running a restaurant. You know what I mean? Where you're like, why?
No, it's really hard. I can't even imagine what your life entails. And I got fired from every restaurant I worked at because I was an immediate moron. So being a manager, like I will be fired so quickly. I got fired from Potomac Pizza. I'm not name dropping. I got fired from Hamburger Hamlet in like a day and a half. I was a hostess, but I was stinking it up.
How you get fired a day and a half?
Run a whole comedy club and restaurant? I mean, and do stand up? Like that's a lot.
No, how do you get fired a day and a half in? I would have kept you on a week just in hopes.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, by the way. What did I do at I mean, they were right, whatever it was. I couldn't handle the seating chart. It was very confusing to me. I was sending people like in the wrong directions. Things were jacked up.
Well, that's why I love comedy clubs because the people who fit in, and the people who don't are gone at like half a shift. I remember this, my first day being an assistant manager, a lady quit halfway into a shift because we had a plate of nachos in the window that no one got. So everyone's running over, eating them and like laughing and slapping butts and shit. And then she came to me and was like, I gotta go. And I was like, okay. Like, you could tell she wanted no part of anything that happens at a comedy.
No part. That is so.
Well, I guess we'll start this thing. So it's center stage. Thank you for joining me. If you want to support Helium, go to the podcast network we have. We have these shows that are streaming. You can go to the merch store, get a hoodie. I got one for free, but you'll have to pay for yours. And then, yeah, we're here with Rachel Feinstein. She's been everywhere. I can't think of anything I haven't seen you on. You have a couple of specials. The one I remember the most is Whores Wear Purple. I think that was the one that was like,
yeah, only whores wear. My grandma told me that.
uh,
Horse
I
carry
mean,
suit, which was like so specific. Like if you that just in her mind, if you just had like a small sack with you, you were a godless whore. And I was like, I tell you what they have in there. They have little creams and rinses to cover their whoring. That's what they have in those slut satchels.
I mean, I can't disagree.
They've got little powdering whore packs to cover up their whoring.
So I guess that's so funny. We'll start from the beginning because you started in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, before you got into comedy, did you know what comedy clubs were? Did you have an idea about them, or were you just, I'm gonna figure this thing out?
I knew what comedy clubs were, but I didn't know that much about stand-up. I didn't know I wanted to do stand-up. I moved to New York when I was 17 with my boyfriend at the time, who was in a band called Dick Sisters. So I had no plan, clearly. I wasn't being accepted by any colleges, I was like an emergency moron in school. Like there were meetings about me. Like they could not get information into my head. They're like, she's too dumb. What in God's name are we? I remember my parents arguing about it. My mom was like, she's not normal, Howard, shit. And they would do scans on me. They used to scan me, put suction cups on my head to see if it was like a brainwave issue. And I remember were arguing one time and my mom was like, well, then scan her again. Well, then we'll re-scan her.
It's got to be something. There has to be something.
Something, they'll find something. I'm closing the door because you can hear I don't know if you can hear my baby crying.
Oh, no.
But my husband's out there, but.
Okay, I was like, you can go handle your baby if your husband's out.
That'd be funny if I was just actively abandoning her. Or maybe it wouldn't be. It would be very sad. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So then I moved with Dick Sister, and then I kind of did some theater stuff, and then started stand up.
So actually, I'm very curious about this because you started. Did you start at the Cellar, or was that where your home club?
Yes, I started. No, I didn't start at the Cellar. I didn't really. The Cellar is kind of my home club now, but I mean, when it's open again, it will be. But I didn't really start there. I started more at just like rooms and weird places. But now when clubs are open, that's usually my main place is the Cellar. Yeah, but I just started in weird, like just jacked up bars. And speaking of jacked up, just strange jerry-rigged situation. The same places I'm playing now. I started in yards.
Yeah, next to two bushes, you're there again. Well, because I've never asked anyone this, but in New York, the Cellar is almost like the Mecca, right? Like this is where everything happens. So what's it like starting in these little rooms, wanting to get to that place? Are you less appreciative of these like little rooms and shit that you're using? Or are you like, well, I'm working my way up? Like how much gravity does the Cellar hold in New York when you started?
I mean, it's a great club. It's a great home club. It's got like nice low ceilings. It's got great sound, and the hang is great because you could just sit upstairs and talk shit with your friends. And so it's definitely my home base it's like my cheers when I come off the road, just sitting around with other comics and stuff like that. In terms of playing like bars and weird rooms, I mean, when you're starting, there's so many different things you have to contend with. So you're already not a seasoned comic, and you don't know how to handle all these adverse things, but you're being thrown at them. So you have the hardest climate possible for already difficult thing to do, stand up. So it's hard in the beginning, but for everybody, and you just do it and you deal with it. And but I definitely liked when I wasn't playing at I prefer like to be in a club like the Cellar, like one of the Heliums, like the Cap City, another club I like in Austin. I love Helium in Boston. In Philly, that was one of the first places headlines. I used to feature there with open for John Heffron, and that was like, I remember that night I was like so excited because he asked me to open for him. I think I emceed or something. And it was like I was like so nervous and overthinking all my dumb interactions. I was like, the headliner's speaking to me. So that was like a cool thing, you know, to come up through that. But and I don't, you know, mind playing different rooms and places like that. But it's nice when you're not playing, when you're playing at a place where it's just comedy. That's what they're there for. Because I used to bother people that were just trying to eat. I remember I had a room in Midtown that I ran, and it was like in a restaurant because somebody told me I could run a room there. And I was just like, I still feel guilty about that. I was just like bothering people while they were trying to eat. You know, I was like trying to do crowd work, and some of them were just like, please leave. Like, I'm trying to impress this girl I'm on a date, and I don't need this asshole screaming at me and gently mocking me while I'm eating. I still have guilt about those days.
I mean, yeah, we had shows in Portland in laundromats and shit where people be trying
Yeah,
to
I
do
played in a
stuff.
laundromat too. I bothered people while they were trying to calmly wash their clothes. Like, that's not acceptable.
I mean, it's not, but I guess when you're starting and you have a scene, you have to build it up some way, right?
I'm not, yeah, you got to do whatever you can do, but no, it's not good.
Well, for you, I mean, I think we've already talked kind of like what sucks in a room for comedy. But for you, what are things that when you walk in on a Thursday at a place and you're like, okay, this weekend's going to be good? What are things that a comedy club has that for you signal that this place is going to be all right?
I'm trying to think of all the things. Okay. That they handle the crowd really well. They kick people out when they're drunk. A lot of clubs are afraid to kick out drunks because they don't want to lose paying customers, but then they ruin the show and therefore their own reputation. And then it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they're not getting that many people and they need the drunks, then they're still not going to get people because, you know, now their crowds aren't good, therefore their shows aren't good. So I like when people have a good bouncer and they just, you know, don't let the crowd lose control. I've done clubs where they get on stage and do like a blowjob shot right before they bring the headliner on, and it's like a mayhem. So
that made me
yeah,
physically react. That sounds horrible.
I know, that's huge. I mean that's like not the blowjob shot isn't huge, but having somebody not do the absence of blowjob shots is huge.
Right.
So I think like not doing that is a big deal. And just having like an environment that's where people respect the show, you know. And I mean, Helium's like that both places. I don't remember anybody really heckling or any weird shit. I mean, it's funny because some places it doesn't even cross your mind all weekend. Right. That's why you have to think about what makes a club good. When you leave a place like that, you're like, well, obviously. But some places they don't care, and it's not okay. But so I think that's really important. My husband would say a green room because he's obsessed with the green room, and so he's just put his head in to say that right now.
I mean, yeah.
He's a firefighter, but he wants to make a book of reviewing green rooms, like a firefighter's review of green room, which is like there's a supply and demand issue for that book. No one's asking a fireman to review a green room.
Unless it's like fire safety.
The green room. But I mean, yeah, that's true. The green room is nice when you have some privacy, and that is nice. It is important, but it's not as important as the show. But yeah, it's nice to have like a little room where you could just go over your set and, you know, have a snack and not feel like you have to interact with, you have a private bathroom. That's good too. We have to interact with the entire crowd before you go on. You don't want somebody to like hear you piss before you go. It's not okay.
Or to be, this would give me anxiety to think of a comic in the bathroom washing their hands while someone comes in like, yo, can't wait to see you. Like,
I know.
That. Oh, I would die.
In those interactions with people before the show that I disappoint them. It's like they don't get what they want out of that interaction. And then I try way too hard. I hug everybody. I mean, not now with COVID, but I over hug people until it gets strange. And so I feel like I try too hard, but that it's still not enough. And I never do those interactions quite right. So I'd rather have them after the show because then I feel better because I feel like I did a good job and I can chill and talk to people as they leave. So seeing them before when I'm nervous and I can see that kind of evaluate everything about your interaction makes me anxious.
Well, one of the funniest things I heard, Sean Donnelly was telling me somebody walked up to him before a show and was like, I hope you're funny. He's like, I'm fucking not. Fuck off. And they just were like, all right, we're leaving. Like there's never been good pre-show interaction, I think, with someone about to go on stage. It's just that's not what
No, it's weird. And it's funny that he says I'm not. I always have in my mind what I would say. And I don't have Sean's confidence to be like, no, I'm not, beat it. I'm always like, I tried to be humorous. It's all,
It'll be buy you a shot. Please just stay and watch. It'll be fun.
I know. I have a really hard time in general with because I try way too hard. And then when you try too hard, it's even worse. And it's a real mess.
Well, that leads me, I guess, to an interesting question. So on my end, I try to give people like one or two warnings about talking or something like that. Unless they, stand up like, pull your ass out or so. And then it's like, okay, you obviously don't want to be here. Let's go. But when is it too much as far as, let's say someone's watching the show, they're kind of talking. How many warnings are you willing to give them before you're like, this has to end?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I think once or twice, really. Like if somebody's told once to be quiet and then they're still not quiet, like they need a warning and then just beat it because they don't want to be there. They want to be someplace else. Sometimes people don't want to be there, but they haven't thought it through. I was like listening to the crowd on my way in this club, and I heard these two people. One of the girls was like, "Who is she again?" And her friend was like, "Rachel Feinstein" or something. And she was like, "It's a great place to pregame." And I'm like, you bought a ticket to my show to pregame? You've made a poor choice. But they did. They were like, they thought they went in there to pregame, which is still fascinates me. That's when you get a little cocky and I open up that door to be like, let's see what they're saying about me. That's when it really brings me right back down to life. It's like reading the comment section. I did that the other day where I was like, people, am I on to something? Like you'll have a show and you're like, am I like really just changing the game? And then you go to Twitter or you go to YouTube and some guy named Mr. Twat Waffles was like, she stinks and she has a man voice. And now I wake up every day because Mr. Twat Waffles said I had a man voice and think about my man voice.
Yeah, I used to read the Yelps about Helium in Portland, and I had to stop once I became the GM because I was like, well, these people are fucking dumb, and I can't change their experience. It doesn't help.
Change their experience. I'm like, I want to change Mr. Twat Waffles' mind, but I can't.
Well, I think also I've seen enough people at this club to know that there's just some people who will never be happy.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's some people who, hey, we'll give you free tickets to an upcoming show. Hey, we'll give you free drinks. Hey, we'll give you this. Hey, we'll give you that. And then they leave like, man, fuck this place.
Yeah, you're right. Some people,
because Doug Benson was too high or something.
Yeah.
So it's like true. Some people you just got to let them be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I got to internal.
Yeah, I've never asked anyone this before, but how long did you feature for?
God, I'm not really sure, but I think it was a while. It took me a while. I don't think I started. I don't remember though. So any answer I gave you would be a lie. But I had a good, and I don't want to lie on this. I'm not going to say something that's not true to you. Yeah, you're too nice. You're a cupcake of a young man.
Oh, I don't want young?
Oh. Guy. So I don't want to lie to you. So I don't remember, but I just know I did it for a while, like a good long while, at least more than a couple of years. And then when I got on Last Comic Standing, then that year I was able to start headlining and quit my day job, which I didn't really do until I started headlining.
Well, I asked because you brought up Hef, who you were like, oh, I'm so nervous. Like, what's it like for you featuring for somebody who is the headliner? You know, like, as far as I've been able to meet people who I'm like, oh my God, this is blowing my mind, but you can't necessarily let it blow your mind. For you, what's like, because I mean, if we worked in electronics and somebody walked in who invented like a computer, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm a jizz on myself. You'd just be like, yo, what's up? So you, how was it interacting with these people who you hold in such high esteem and still having to perform and do your job?
It depends on the show and the headliner and the weekend. Sometimes it's wonderful and they're like cool as shit. Sometimes it's confusing and you can't tell if they like you or not or whatever their weird specific. Some people like they're on and off, you know, like when they want to be quiet, it's not just like, oh, okay, let's be quiet now. Like, it's like they want you out of the room. And so it's about figuring out whether you're wanted in a room or out of a room. And that's tricky. but so yeah, some people are like that, and you don't know exactly where they're coming from, and you try to not to internalize if they're a little moody or whatever it is, and not make it about you. And then some people were just super cool, like Billy Burr, who's still a good friend of mine. He was always really lovely and really nice. And Attell is like such a doll, you know.
Yeah.
So you always know that there's no weirdness with him, and he's going to be super cool to you. Schumer, obviously, we're good friends, so I didn't feel as uncomfortable as I would with somebody I didn't know that well. So there was a lot of people that were really nice and lovely to me. Todd Barry used to bring me to open, and he was always really nice and upfront. But sorry, getting a phone call. But it just depends, of course, on the situation. And I was in my head a lot. And when I'm headlining, I don't have to worry about, pissing somebody off or not being too, dirty or too clean, or if they want somebody more edgy, I don't have to be, because you're already in your own head enough when you're performing. So it was definitely a lot easier.
Does that translate for you now that you're a headliner? Like my friend Shane, who I've seen go from like host to headliner, he was always super in his head about being around the headliner. So now that he's headlining, he's kind of like nicer, I guess I would say, to the features. Has that carried on for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I probably try a little too hard, like, but to like make sure people like me. I overthink the experience of people in the room. So I'll ask my husband when I left, like, was that weird when I was quiet and looking at my notes, and he's like, no, you know what I mean? So I'm overthinking it too, but I try to be really kind to people, and I try to tip everybody out because everybody's struggling. So, especially now, I mean, now things are insane. Whoops, one second. But I try to, when I'm on the road, do that, because that was also the other scary part is like, I remember when Heffron first asked me to open, and then I said like, oh, I can do these weekends or something. And then I didn't hear back from him for like 3 days. And like, in my mind, I was like, by the end of those 3 days, I was like, he hates me. I've offended him. Like I was scanning through, I was just in my mind, just sifting through every conversation we'd ever had, And then I was like, do I remind him now? Do I not gently? I mean, it was a fucking living hell for a neurotic Jew like me. So not being in that state now is so much better. And what I try to do now is sometimes I'm like, but sometimes I do want to be quiet in the green room. Sometimes I want to just think about my notes and think about my set. And I just want to sit there and do that. But I don't want anybody to think I'm mad. You know what I mean? Or that I'm annoyed. I have to be quiet for a while and think about my set and try to remember some weird wording of a joke. So now I try to I feel like if you tip everybody out, they're happy no matter what. You know what I mean? Sometimes they want you to talk and go out and drink afterwards, or get like, I can't get like lit the way I could before and have a good show the next day. So, I might not be the most fun headliner ever. I'm not like blowing hookers, but I still try to find and tip people out.
Well, I think so. Like I said, I've been here for 8 years now, and there's only one time when a comic was like, "Yo, let's fucking get down," and everyone was like, "Nah." It was back. It was who was it? Oh, Jay Moore. He came around and he was like, "Hey, let's have shots," and the whole staff just looked at him like this, and then went back to their conversations.
I can't do shots anymore. There's no shots in my life. I mean, I drink. I like to have a couple drinks, but I can't. There's no shots. I can't do shots without being fully rancid the next day.
But that's like he.
Oh my god!
Oh, you're fine. He wanted to just go hard, and everyone was like, "We can't do that, man. We just had 2 shows. We're fine."
Yeah.
But I think tipping is always nice. But I mean, I think the one thing that people don't understand about comedy clubs or comedy in general is that you're going to be out there for an hour, and you might have had someone break up with you before. You might have had something horrible happen, and I got to go do an hour and, hey, everyone be funny. I'm funny, and then dip. And so you have to learn how to navigate around that if you're around that person to not fuck it up. Like you can't get mad at someone for looking at their notes. They're trying to have a good show.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I'm going to feel less guilty when I look at my notes now.
Well, I learned a very valuable lesson. It was with Brian Posehn. He was here, and he was like kind of mopey, and we're like, man, this guy. And then we found out his dog had died that morning. So it changed our whole perspective of like, well, going through shit.
Yeah. That's how I felt when I was pregnant. I felt kind of sick, and I just felt like I really can barely get through the show right now. So I felt like I don't want to not be fun, but it's usually about the person, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it's
What's going on with the person? That was not an insight at all. It's usually about a human. That was a worthless sentence, and you were so kind about it. Um, but yeah, so the short answer is I try to be nice to people, try to give them a tip at the end of the weekend. And if you ever work with me and you think that I was annoyed, I probably wasn't. I was probably worried that you were thinking I was.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what people do before me. I really don't care if they're clean, dirty, whatever they want to do in their acts. I feel like I feel like everybody should sell something after if they want to sell something. I never tell comics not to sell something because I remember trying to scrape together that feature money and get a plane ticket, and it was rough. So I'm like, whatever you want to sell it. Do whatever you need to do, because it's not easy to make it on a feature salary.
No, it is impossible to make it on just a feature salary.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And yeah, I heard my man was telling me that he had someone open up for them, didn't know they didn't live in town, and then that Thursday night was like, hey, you want to go get a drink? Like, no, I got to go find a place to park so I can sleep. And you're like, right? It's heartbreaking because you have these dreams and it's hard to make it. You got to struggle through.
It's really hard. It's a really brutal business, And right now it's a lot of devastation out there.
Yeah, close to complete. But I'm curious because there's not too many people who are so worried about, I guess, the fans or the customers coming through. What is your
about how foul my room looks in the background?
I wasn't even going to talk about it.
Oh, there's like a sock on the bed. It's stuff. And there's like 2 open drawers. It's not okay. But anyway, go ahead.
No, that's why you have the hair nice. I didn't even look behind you once.
Oh, it's yeah. It's if I turned it around, you'd throw up. If I turned the camera fully around, you would just puke and have to stop the podcast. But go ahead.
So a lot of people aren't as caring about the people who are around them. What are your fan interactions like after the show? Do you sell merch and stuff like that?
I do. I sell things after the show, but what did I say? What am I saying? I just like fully wasn't listening to the question. You ever just continue to answer? That was a lie. I don't sell anything after the show. I wasn't thinking about the question. I felt like I needed to keep running my dumb mouth.
No, you're fine.
No, I don't sell anything. I maybe should, but I always feel stupid at that dumb table. I remember some guy was featuring one weekend and he was selling these stickers that said Beaver Hunter Catch and Release Program. And I was sitting there with my dumb, like Comedy Central, like stickers or something that said you have like the download thing or some shit. And everybody wanted a Beaver Hunter Catch and Release sticker. And I felt so stupid there sitting with my stupid download when they were all just like, Beaver Hunter, we love. And I was like, I can't sit here in my dumb chair. I'm not good at selling things. That's why I was fired from retail, one of the many places I was fired, because I can't bother people to buy something. So I never sell after the show. I just hug people too much.
What do you have? Does that get you in trouble? Are you getting weird fans? Because for me, the moment I moved out, I guess, from that area where I had to help sell stuff, I was like, I'm fucking out. Like, to me, it's the most weird, unsafe, unliked area I can ever be in. Like that whole merch line, I hate it. Because things get weird out there. You know what I mean? Like people say weird things, they act weird. Do you deal with that well, or how does that go for you?
I mean, I have had some people, I had to get a restraining order against somebody actually. So yeah, there's been some shit. There's been some weird stuff, but most people aren't. But yeah, there's definitely been one person was just like, he was harassing this other girl named Rachel Feinstein. I feel so bad. Who like lived in New York City too, and sending her weird things in the mail. And he wrote like a short story about us. Getting married and stuff. And I was like, this guy's going to make a suit out of my skin. I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but, yeah, we had to check him out a couple times because he was getting a little strange and, sort of driving and then kind of staring, just a lot of weird glaring. I'm again, not trying to judge it. I've stared at people like that mostly when I was single and I was trying to meet a guy. I heard men hang out at steakhouses. So I sit, this is so sad. How sad is this? I used to sit at steakhouse bars and just like stare at men, and it was not okay. So I get that stare. I get that yearning stare. I'm not even judging the yearning stare, but it was the amount of mailing he was doing that was problematic. A lot of mailing of literature, and kind of like a tin ring. So things got a little weird. Things got a little shifty.
I mean, that's on the uptick. We have this guy here who I don't know if you run into this kind of guy other places where he has the little like photographs and he has the blue marker and he's like, "Can you sign this?" and all that shit.
Yes, yes,
He
yes.
he ran up on someone's hotel room
Oh no.
in October, and I had to have a real, I guess, a conversation with the guy. Like, look, man, if you out here, I don't mind, but if you ever go to someone's hotel room, that's
I can't. Yeah.
creepy looking, and it's like I don't know if he. And there's been an uptick on me as a manager getting pictures of, hey, don't let this guy in this club, or hey, don't let this lady in this club. Like
Oh
that.
yeah. No, there's a couple photographs that come with me every weekend now. Yeah, there's been a fresh restraining order, so there's definitely more than a few photos. I mean, I remember one guy just drew a series of weird, like, drawings of Star of David and then different pictures of us together, and he kind of waved the Star of David in front of my face. Like, he came up after my show and was just waving Star of Davids in front of me. Like, I don't know what he thought. I think he thought that if you just wave a Star of David in front of a Jew's face, you can like insert yourself inside them immediately afterwards or something. He was just making weird Hebrew sounds. He wasn't Jewish. He was
What's
just trying
a
to
Hebrew saying? Like speaking Hebrew?
No, but I know what that is because he was just like, and then just going like this in front of my face, just waving a Star of David picture. It was not okay. It was actively terrifying. People have a lot of weird ideas about Jews. Like my brother had a college roommate that he was afraid of Jews and he was trying to check his head for horns. He admitted like 6 months into their relationship as roommates that he was like, listen, dude, I thought you had horns, but I realized you don't. And can you imagine, like, he couldn't sleep at night because he was trying to check for my brother's horns and he was frightened. So people have weird. That's a whole.
Yeah, that almost doesn't even sound real. That's crazy.
I know. And then one day they were having a beer and they were like friends. And he's like, dude, I got to tell you something. I actually thought you had horns, but I see you don't. And I was scared when I heard that I had a Jew roommate because I thought you were going to have horns, which to me is the funniest thing ever. My brother was appalled. Like, can I tell that story on stage immediately? Because that's the funniest thing. Just some nervous college kid just up at night, just terrified.
I mean, because I'll get the, like, I can't believe you know a big word or something like that. Like, you're not like the other, like, I'll get that. But like shit that's not humanly possible to me fucking is terrifying.
Some people think we're walking around with like secret horns that we tuck behind our Jew curls, our jewels. But I don't even know what this has to do with anything we were discussing. But yeah, people do say some crazy shit. They'll send any sex offender to pick the comedian up. Some clubs, they don't give a shit. They'll just send somebody that's just humming with madness.
Now let me ask, because here if I have to pick someone up at the airport, I'm not thrilled about it mostly. So it's like, take a lift and then we'll reimburse you. Is that a bad move, or should it be, hey, here I am to pick you up at the airport?
I think people usually, okay, number one thing somebody wants is a car to pick them up at the airport. So they have this little interaction with the stranger when they feel like they look messed up and they have airport face. And so they just don't want an extra human interaction before they've painted themselves. That's what it's usually about. For myself, it is. Before I've painted an active lie on my face, I'd rather just get to it's an emergency. When I get off a plane, I'm haunting looking. So I just want to get into the room and just slam the door shut without anybody from the club seeing me. So I'd always prefer a car. But now with COVID, I mean, everything's just out the window. Whatever you preferred anymore, it's like things are changing. So
were you doing any shows during COVID? Were you out at all?
Yeah, I was out a bit, and now that I have the antibodies, I feel more comfortable, obviously, being on the road a little more. They don't last forever, but they do last a little while. So I'm fresh from COVID, which really sounds like a title of a special that nobody would watch. But yeah, so I'm kind of up for whatever. I've talked to my agent after the break and just be like, send me anywhere. I'll hurl my dumb body there and do a show right now. But I've done a bit. Yeah.
How were they for you during COVID? Because to me, they were, I mean, being spread out and people a little weak, but they seemed, I don't know, more thirsty for comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I felt as hard and weird as it was, all these different shows, inside or out, there's a lot of like obstacles right now. I still was so happy to be on stage, you know, and just happy to do it. And people were laughing and needed it. And yeah, it makes you feel like yourself. This is what we do. So it felt crazy to have a baby in COVID and then not be doing stand up for those months. And it was like, I don't know, the whole world changed right when the biggest thing that happens in your life changes and you want to just go back to work and feel like yourself. So I was so grateful. And on that, and Colin's special too, I was just grateful to be hanging with comics and to feel like myself, you know?
Yeah, I'm nervous that it's not going to go back quickly. I think it will, you know, once we kind of get the vaccine out and everything like that. And I mean, you can make a joke about anything, so I think that'll kind of pass. But I'm really hoping we don't end up with like another year of no real comedy.
I pray, I really do, because I feel like people need it desperately. I need to go back to work, of course, so I pray for all the selfish reasons, but I mean, I think people need it. I mean, there's just people need a release right now. So so I hope it does. But I have nothing. I have no idea what's going to happen. You know?
Yeah, I was getting into arguments in the middle of March, like we'll never shut down, you fucking moron. Like I was really talking greasy to people that I like
fucking big, but I have no information. Make no mistake. I'm here. I'll say on the record. Don't listen to me. I don't have any statistics that you don't have access to. I Google the same things you Google, but I walk around asking the same questions. I'm like, what do you think about the vaccine? What do you think about that? And then I just listen to whoever the latest person I spoke to. I'm like, oh, okay. So
he's bouncing.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody's just bouncing the questions off each other. It does seem like it's coming out. I mean, but it's got to help, right? So at least there's that.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you. Well, you've been to Philly, you've been to Buffalo. Have you done Bananas?
Yeah.
All right, and have you been to Good Nights in Raleigh?
I think so, but I actually have to think about that because when you're on the road so many years, sometimes you forget where you were. I'm not positive I've been to Good Nights. I've been to the rest of that place, those places.
That works enough. So we're gonna go 7-1. So 1, if you hate the place, I hope it fucking falls into a pit. 7, if you can't change anything about it, it was perfect.
Okay.
All right. So we'll start with Philly. 1 to 7.
7. I love Helium. It's one of my favorite clubs. The Helium in Philly, great, right? And Philly crowds are great.
I am in Portland, so I have a rivalry. I can't necessarily like cheer it on, but I'll let you. What makes Philly in Helium so great?
They're just great crowds. They laugh at anything. I feel the same way about a lot of DC crowds. It's a well-run club, but also there's just they're really good crowds. They're there for comedy. They're not too, they don't get offended too easily in Philly is my experience. So I love them as comedy clubs. I feel the same way about like DC crowds for whatever reason. Austin crowds, same ways. Big comedy fans and don't get too offended.
Right. And then Buffalo, how was that for you?
I guess Buffalo maybe 6 to 7. If 7's the very best, but I have a lot of fun at that club too. I just played there and it was super super fun. Again, nice intimate room, low ceiling, not too high, not too open. There's like you feel like you're in something together. You know, there's like a special energy to a show in that room.
100% agree. And then Bananas. I'll say this one has been the most uncallable. I've had 1s on it. I've had 7s on it.
I'd say Bananas is like maybe like a 5.
5's pretty good. They do not have a green room, I heard though. That's the thing. I heard they have no green rooms, and that's the thing that really hurts.
5 because it's better when you have that green room and it's like you got that privacy, that time. I think they use, so it's not quite the same, but the crowds are fun. Again, if you have a good show, you can't knock it too much because you have a good show there. The crowds are listening and you get to work stuff out and there's not a lot of distraction or blank faces. Then you're pleased as a comics to some extent, you know?
Right. It at least raises it to like a floor level of like, it was good. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna move to stories we've heard about you. This is a story I've heard about you. I'm gonna say the story, and then I'm gonna ask you a question pertaining to that story.
Oh my God, I knew there was a story about me. Okay.
So this is a direct quote. The time her fly was down on stage.
Which place?
Has happened multiple times.
I remember complaining about that, but I don't remember where I was. So I want to help. I want you to help me remember when my fly was down.
I was not told when. That was the whole quote.
Was this from a comic?
It was from a comic.
That definitely happened. It's definitely true. But can you just tell me who so I can remember where it happened? Because I remember
Oh,
talking.
Nikki Glazer told me.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I love Nikki. Did she tell me or did I tell?
That was the whole story I got.
Yeah, well, it's true.
So my question to that then is, how much thought goes into what looks good on stage for you versus what's comfortable? Like for me,
You know what work, on stage, I dress like a district attorney. I wear a lot of oversized blazers. I don't know. I have not figured it out. Either I dress up too much, or I dress like too businessy or something. And when I was pregnant, I was wearing like a lot of I was dressing like B. Arthur, just a lot of like oversized loose smocks.
Well, I think that's because I've seen from where like Rodman is wearing a suit still to, I've seen cats with shorts, cargo shorts on stage, or
I wear dresses and heels all the time. I was like, dress up. It's a big performance. But now when I look at myself in those dresses, I was like, I was wearing the wrong dresses. They were too small for me. I was just stuffing my body into these. I look so weird and uncomfortable. So I overtook every piece of advice I got. Somebody was like, dress up, go all out. And I'm just like, I look like I'm trying way too hard and my shoes are too big. And that's half the comments under any one of my videos from Only Whores Wear Purple. Is like, she looks uncomfortable in those shoes. And it's fair, Mr. Twat Waffles. I was uncomfortable. And I do have a man voice, but I can't help it.
He's still funny, so fuck all the rest. Okay. But yeah, it's I would hate to have to worry about. I have friends who have just like stage shoes, or I'm coming in with this shirt. Like the fact that I can just wear black and be fine makes my life so much better.
Because people do look at it. I look at people dissecting, and I have a lot of stains on myself, and I just tend to run a little dirty, and people pick things off me throughout the day. Like I usually have debris on myself, and people are comfortable cleaning me, and I'm comfortable with them cleaning. Like I rely on that service. I walk through my day just hoping somebody goes, oh, you have this, or there's some mustard there, or whatever. So, but on stage, people are just staring at like your wrinkled, trifling top. So I have to pull it in a little more because I've looked absurd on stage.
Do you feel like that it changes the performance depending on what you're wearing?
I mean, to some extent. I mean, if you I feel like if you've been doing stand-up long enough, you can just, you can focus on your act and get through and, get past your own dumb outfit. But I do think it's helpful not to have something too distracting. There's also stuff that just has the wrong mood for stand-up. Like for example, like a gentle floral sundress or some shit, like a floppy hat. I can't walk on stage and be an authority, look Green Gables.
No, that would not play well.
Certain stuff that doesn't have the right, feel, and people are looking at it. And I can't take a big swing, especially at the Cellar, because the comics trash you. I remember thinking like, oh my God, the other day I was like, no, but not the other day, the other month, a year ago. It's like, yeah, I was walking into the Cellar. I think I had a huge zit and I was like, nobody sees it. You're thinking about it. Nobody's thinking about it. You're thinking about it. You convince yourself that. And I walked in, I remember Keith Robin was like, why is your zit blinking at me? Why is Rachel's dumb zit keep winking? Rachel's zit's flirting with people. I was fucking devastated. And I spent like a good 30 minutes just recovering and, it was so sad only to walk in and hear that just fucking done. One day I had these boots and I was like, I can pull off the low boot tight thing. I'm like, I'm a sassy New York lady. Why not? I walk into the Cellar. It's like, hey, Robin Hood men in tights. It was stupid, but it worked. I'm like, God damn, it was so simple, but brilliant as it was dumb at the same time. because it
Oh,
just worked. I was like,
right.
ugh, I do like Robin Hood. I stink.
I never even thought about that point. Like the fact that you have to worry about what other comics are going to say. Because, I mean, people, I guess, are nice to me because of what position I'm in. So no one's going to be like, look at your fucking whack ass shoot. Like, they'll be like, hey, Nick, can I get a weekend? So I don't have to
Yeah.
really necessarily worry about that. But it does sound brutal to fucking get roasted trying new shit. Yeah, you can't take any swings.
Ugh, devastating.
All right, so the last thing we'll do is we're gonna play a game called "I Bet You Never." So it's basically like "Never Have I Ever." We'll have three fingers up. I'm gonna try to
Mhm.
guess something that you have never had to deal with at a comedy club. You're gonna try to do the same. The person with
Okay.
fingers all the way down is the loser.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I don't understand it. So you go. I think I could do, but I'm not sure. So you go first.
Yeah, if it fucks up, who cares? It's basically a way
Okay.
to get stories, at the end of the day.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bet that you have never had to um, I'll bet that you never had more than 3 outfits at a comedy club in one night.
No, I mean that's true. Yeah. I mean, I have changed on a date though before.
On a date.
I've been in the middle of a date. How dark is this? This was the dark time in my life. This was the time when I was hanging at steakhouses, glaring at men. And I went out with this guy and I had on a dress and I wasn't sure about the dress. I always have extra clothes with me. That is true. I have a weird large sack. It's right here. My sack is next to me. That is not a lady size bag. That's a
Oh,
slovenly sack. And I have a sack. And in the sack, yeah, there's always like a shoe and like a pants. I don't know what I think is going to happen. There's always like a bra, yeah,
you
this
might
is what
get
I
lost
have
in the
with me.
wilderness.
What's that?
You might get lost in the wilderness. You need to pack for a
I
couple.
do. I have a lot of weird things in my set. I always have like extra snacks. I always think I'm going to run out of snacks. I always have like some popcorn and a seaweed pack with me and like an applesauce packet. It's really weird. And backup tops, because maybe that's because I collect a lot of debris. But so maybe not more than 3 times, but I was in the middle of a date. I had another dress in my gross slovenly sack. And I walked to the bathroom holding this bag. Like, how unattractive is that sack? And I was like, I pretended to spill a drink on myself and then he was like, oh, what happened? I was like, I spilled a drink. I better go change. Thank God I have a dress. Now I was
Oh,
wildly drunk, like flying drunk. And this was many years ago, but it's still real dark and not okay. And he was like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I spilled, but I have a dress because I wanted to wear the other dress in my drunken mind. And then I went to the bathroom and I came back in the other dress. And I was like, he would never assume that I did that on purpose because it's so fucking insane. Who would assume that anybody would be that mad, that would be sizzling with that level of madness? But I got back and he immediately was like, you did that on purpose. And I was like, what? And he's like, you packed the drink, you spilled the drink. And I'm like, how would he even conceive that I would be as ludicrous and insane as I am? But
right.
he knew, and it was so horrifying.
No, you put me on game. Next date I go on, I'm gonna have like 2 outfits. Because when you
No, it's
can't
just so
decide,
humiliating.
sometimes you can't decide like what shirt. I'll go both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wanted to be both ladies. I want to be the lady in that dress, but I also kind of want to be the lady in the other dress for him. I want to show him all my colors so that he wants another date. It was so bad, but I was like, I want him to see both sides of me. Because I am that blazered lady, but I'm also that, sprightly blue dress. I mean, it was so fucking nuts.
What man doesn't want a woman who can do it all? You're
I
showing them
mean,
right away.
if a girl did that on a date with you, you'd be like, I mean, it's alarming. It's extremely alarming behavior. It's not okay.
Depends on what you came back with. If it was like a white t-shirt, I'm like, all right. But if it feels like another nice outfit, I mean, she's showing off that she's got it.
It's very not okay, but go ahead.
All right, so that would mean you have a finger down. I still have my 3 up. So you're gonna try to guess something that you've had to experience at a comedy club that you think I have not.
Let me see. Wait, I'm trying to guess experience that. Wait, say it again.
So
Sorry.
think of something that I haven't experienced at a comedy club that you have. So usually it's something like weird or wild that you've done or had to experience at a comedy club. You basically got to reach back and think of some things
That you think that experience I think we both had.
that I have not had.
You have not had.
Like I've changed.
Well, when Jenna Jameson came to my show at the Buffalo Helium and stood up in the middle of the show, and said, fuck yeah, Jenna Jameson, fuck yeah, and screamed her own name in like a porn voice. I believe that did not happen to you.
What the fuck?
The baby's crying. What? Can you pick her up? He is holding her. I don't know why it's
Yeah, I've had celebrities being here really drunk, but to stand up and say your own name.
She was like, Jenna Jameson, fuck yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like she did that sex voice, like, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
How long into
and the guy, there were all these male, I talk about it in one of my specials. I talk about it in Only Horrors Wear Purple, I think. But yeah, all the guys came in the green room, all these male comics pretending like they were there to like support my show, but they were just all horny and backed up and they wanted to meet Jenna Jameson. Yeah, she just showed up. She was in my lobby. She was in the hotel room lobby. Turned out she was staying at the same hotel in Buffalo. And she was just like, my agent called and he's like, you know, Jenna wants to take you to your show tonight. She's in Buffalo. And I was like, why is she in Buffalo? Why am I in Buffalo while I have you on the phone? And then she was, she was just in the lobby and she was just trying to hang. It was a lot. Yeah. The whole weekend, she just kind of kept, and she was like, what's next? You know? And I think it was a strange weekend. I think she wanted to hook up. And then after, or maybe she was pretending to want to hook up because she thought it turned the guys on. I couldn't understand what was happening, but she, in the middle of the show, was like, fuck yeah, Jenna, fuck yeah. And then afterwards she was like, you're a little dirty at the end. I'm like, you can't call me. No. But
just pull up a cell phone video. Like, no, I think we're even.
She texts me sometimes though. Like, I mean, after that, not in a long time, but I would get like a weird text from her, like at a strange horror hour. And she'd be like, and it would just be like an emoji that she thought I'd relate to. I talked about it, I think in the special, but it'd be like a high-heeled pink shoe or something. Oh, no, she would write, no, I send a high-heeled pink shoe. She would write like, boo-hoo, I miss you. She checks like a little cute little girl. And I'd write back like a high-heeled shoe because I thought it would impress her. Like I thought it putting a stiletto emoji she would like. But anyway, I believe that has not happened to you. We're getting way off track.
No, I love it. Yeah, so it's 2-2 then. That has not happened to me. I had to get Heather Locklear out of here once. But
really?
Yeah, she was.
Oh like, yeah, she gets lit, right?
Yeah. She was.
Yeah.
And we did it smooth. We were like, hey, the crowd's noticing you, and like, I think they're gonna rush you because you're like so famous. Like, we got to get you out of here. So yeah, that makes sense.
Ooh, that's a good way to say it. I like that. People should start saying that to me when I'm a problem.
People are noticing you. They're gonna rush you. We got to get you out.
Yeah, we got to get you out of here because I think somebody might have noted. They might have seen one of your basic cable appearances. Got to get you out fast. Not safe for you.
It worked like a charm, though.
Somebody recognized you from the Stars Network thing you did, so let's get you out fast.
Pull the hood up and carry you out. Okay, I'm gonna guess that.
Oh, I hope you can't hear my baby crying in the background. My husband's got her, but I feel bad that it sounds like she's in. She cries for the same time every night.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? Oh, you have a kid?
No, I remember Meredith told me that your baby was like, you're worried it would start at the same time.
Yes. And then I try to time things at the exact rate, but she's crying anyway.
Off topic, but I am a little nervous at how excited you got that I possibly had a kid.
Oh, it is just like people relate to exactly what you're going through at that particular moment. You know, there's this thing with kids called like the witching hour. It's like this right before they go to sleep where nothing can really calm because they're just tired and they don't know they're tired. But like to be able to speak with somebody about that, I'm like, do you have a tip? Like, what can you do? Because now before people had kids, I was like, what is all that stuff? Like, why do they don't need all that stuff? But the thing is, you put them in one of those things. I don't give a fuck what it is. They're quiet for like 5 minutes, you know, I'm just like, now I get it. I would buy 90 contraption, like anything. You just like hurl them inside of it. And it buys you like a half an hour, but then you need like 5 of those different things, weird, overpriced apparatuses that somehow magically make them be quiet, but then they get bored of that thing and you rotate them in another thing. And that's what the living room is right now.
I remember watching my nephew when he was born, and it was awful. Because even that half hour isn't a peaceful half hour. You're just waiting for that half hour to be over.
Yes, exactly. And you're always worried that like, I mean, I was afraid to have a kid because I was like, I'm an oversharer. And I was like, what if I don't love her? I would just start telling people. I'd be like at a barbecue, like, and I'd have like one vodka tonic and somebody be like, she's cute. And I'd be like, isn't it weird? But I don't love her. I'm like, that won't be okay. Like, thank God I do love her, because I guess that makes me a hero, because I love my own child. But I was like, that was what I was worried about. But I was like, fuck, if I don't love her, I'll start telling people once I've started to drink. But I do love her immediately. But that's even worse, because you just worry all the time. You just like, yeah, you love her so much, you have a stomach ache, but you can't make her happy. And she's just sitting there with this irrational expression. Like, I dangled something above her face for like 40 minutes today. And I was like, okay, we're good, right? Because I'm going to walk to the kitchen, and maybe get a small snack. And she immediately was just like, yeah. So she's not, it's hard. So that's when you see another parent, you're like, what's the trip? What did you get? What do you give them? I'm gonna buy that shit. Like, yeah.
From what I heard,
there's a weird, wild desperation, because you want tip. People are always like, I don't give advice. People don't want to. I'm like, give me advice. Take my shoulders and tell me what to buy immediately on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I don't want. You're a hero, for sure.
I am a hero. Thank you. My husband's not a hero. I am.
All right, so it's 2-2 now, and I'm gonna guess that you never had to tell someone they can't bring a baby into a comedy club.
No, nobody's tried to bring a baby, but a small child. It's fucking, people do. They just be like a 6-year-old in the front, in the middle. I was saying the words mediocre hand job and made eye contact accidentally with a 6-year-old. It was one of the worst moments of my life. The same thing happened with my dad too. Same joke, equally heinous moments. But anyway.
Wait, where were you performing where there was a 6-year-old?
I don't even remember. Somebody brought a small child in. I mean, there's so many years of these weird shows, but it's happened many times. People bring a kid in, not a baby, but a kid that's too young to be at the show, and nobody stopped them.
Yeah, I don't want none of that.
No, why are you bringing your 6-year-old? Beat it.
You're not gonna have fun, because now when I hear mediocre hand job, I'm looking at my daughter like,
yeah, nobody's having fun. Everybody's looking at the 6-year-old, wondering how permanently my act is scarring her. That's not fun for anyone.
Oh. So then it would be, let's see, 2 fingers up for me, 1 for you.
Wait, what do you mean? So, it's so funny that, am I the only one that's too dumb to understand the rules of that? Everybody else probably just cruises forward. I'm like, what?
To explain it. Basically, have you played Never Have I Ever?
Yeah.
So it's basically that, but I'm guessing that the other way around. So it's reversed.
Okay. Sounds good. Yes.
So it's on you.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, no. So I guessed the baby.
Wait, you guessed what?
So I guess that you never had to tell someone they can't bring a baby in, right?
Oh, we're still on that question. No, I thought I made that very clear.
Yeah, we did it.
6-year-olds, but no babies.
We did.
Oh, so I have to go like this. I get
it's your turn. Right.
Okay. No. Oh, I stink.
So then it's your opportunity to get me to get a finger down. So a story something that you think I haven't had to do at a comedy
club. Oh, okay. You've let's see. Let me think about it. You've never done lines off a menu right before you're about to go up. Like, and you've never eaten mozzarella sticks and then done lines off the mozzarella sticks right before you've had to go on stage.
No.
Hypothetical predicament I just put. Well, thank goodness, because you should. There's blow on your nose, though. You might be lying. I just see a little in the corner.
I might have lost my job. It's like, yeah, I'm doing blow. Wait. How long ago was, not to get too into your business?
No, I'm just making up nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have to have done the thing?
You don't have to have, but.
No, I do blow off a mozzarella stick. Who do you think I am? I'm trying to make
I thought you were a hero in 2. Like, all right, you're raising a kid and you've done blow off a mozzarella stick.
Mozzarella stick? That is not.
That bite, the cheese comes out.
Which is worse, doing blow off a mozzarella stick or changing on a date and going to steakhouses to try to meet a man? Like that, I don't know which is dark. At least doing blow off a mozzarella stick, it's kind of like a fun loving thing. But the just leering at strangers at a steakhouse is a lot darker. So I don't know.
Yeah, blow off a mozzarella stick, I could brag about. Like, yo, my friend Rachel's coming. Bring the mozzarella sticks. I promise you it's gonna be great.
Blow off.
Well, I don't want to keep you away from your family too much. I so much appreciate your time. Like,
thank you. Really fun. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I hope when things are back open, you come to Portland finally. I'd love
much.
to have you.
I've been to Portland before and I do love Portland. I want to come back. I really want to come back. So hopefully,
Have you been to the Portland Helium?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where I was. I'm trying to remember. Oh wait, no, you know what? It wasn't. It was
You're probably at Harvey's.
what's the other name of the club in Port? What's the other club in Portland?
Harvey's is the other club.
No, it must have been the Helium because it wasn't Harvey's. Is the when you walk in, is the green room on the right? Isn't it funny how we remember floor plans, but like I can't remember like
So you walk up the big stairs. Yeah, you walk
yeah,
up the big stairs.
mall thing, mall,
It's not
and
a
then you
mall.
never mind. I'm thinking of another club, and it's not in Portland. It's in another city in Washington. I just remembered.
I was about to be, so I've only forgotten one. I forgot about Bert Kreischer. He's the only comic that I met before and then forgot I met him. I would have been pissed
What's
if
the
I
other
met him before.
Washington state that I'm talking about? Help me figure out what I'm saying.
There's like Spokane, there's Tacoma, there's
No.
Parlor in Seattle was there.
Parlor. Yes. And not Washington State, Portland. I mean, near Portland. You know what I'm saying? That part of the country.
Northwest.
So take off this entire section where I seemed this dumb. Please. Take off this part. We don't need it. It's going to make everybody sad. For me included. Just one Portland part. Take it out.
Yo, for real though, Rachel Feinstein, do you have anything you want to throw out? People go fuck with?
You could let me see, what could I plug right now? Just go to my Instagram or watch my half hour on Netflix, which is on season 2 of the stand-ups, or just go to my Instagram, Rachel Feinstein _ because I post most of my dates there, sometimes on Twitter, at Rachel Feinstein, but more on Instagram, which is Rachel Feinstein _
Perfect. And yeah, for real, we got to get you in Portland. I think we'll have a fun weekend. And all
I would love to come.
right.
I really want to come.
All right, well, get back to your family. No stains on your shirt. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.